Hi everyone, Julie Lindsay here. I'm the QLT online leader for the Faculty of Arts and Education. This workshop is about establishing a strong online teacher presence, and I'd like to run you through some ideas, concepts and best practice. So we're looking at KPI 12, which states that students experience a subject that provides structured opportunity for staff to student interactions in the online space. And that's me. And these slides and recording are online up on the QLT online blog, and there is a feedback form, and I would love you to give me some feedback and let me know what else you need to support development of better online learning practices. So we're talking about the power of Interact2 landing pages, peer-to-peer interaction and staff-to-student interaction. This is the whole basket of QLT items that we've been running workshops on. Of course, KPI 9 focuses particularly on landing pages and the basic outline of the I2 site. KPI 11 is the opportunity for peer-to-peer interaction in the online space. This workshop, though, or this recording, is about KPI 12. So welcome to teacher-to-student interaction. And right from the start, I should say, there are many ways that you can foster teacher-to-student interaction and also teacher presence. So I'm going to just show you a few of those and open up the conversation and open up the discussion to you thinking about what's best for you and what suits you and your subject. So in terms of KPI 12 and the quality learning and teaching quality check that's coming up or in session 2 particularly this year, 2016, we're looking for communication from teacher to student, student to teacher, and this should be clear and regular, such as announcements. We're looking for facilitation of this as well, and there should be some planned strategies that help you build teacher presence. So not just initiating discussion forums and not being in the discussion forums with the students, but actually, in there, initiating discussions, doing certain things, certain strategies that allow you to interact with the students. And I use the word visibility deliberately here because we need to see that you are actually interacting with the students and making your presence felt as part of the online teaching and learning or learning and teaching strategy. So what is teacher presence? Let's have a look here. My colleague Carol Hunter, who's the QLT leader for Faculty of Business, says the question is not as much about creating a teacher presence, but about creating your own presence. While we can learn a lot from imitating how others act online, the goal is to allow your own authentic presence to emerge. And you can read the rest of Carol's blog post. There's a link there when you get this resource, but it's also just up on our QLT online blog. So some of the key concepts are on the right-hand side here. So once again, being visible in the classroom, inverted commas, of course, because we're talking about face-to-face as well as virtual classrooms. Asynchronous learning, which is balanced with synchronous learning. It's a psychological presence. It's an emotional presence. It's a social presence. We're talking about collaborative spaces, building a learning community, learner engagement, learner interaction, effective communication. And really, it's all about teaching online. What does this look like? And how do you blend that online with offline teaching as well? So let's look at some key concepts here in terms of discussion forums. Now, I draw you to the work of Diana Laurillard, and you may not have time to read her work there. This is actually a book that she's written, but she has a number of articles online as well. But she talks about the teacher role during the asynchronous discussion process and shares some pertinent points there with us in terms of student expectation to contribute. It's important for teachers to be a moderator and be motivating. How to socialise, where are the lines between socialisation and or how does socialisation support teacher presence? how to facilitate information exchange and encourage peer moderation. So these are things to think about. On our QLT online blog, we have a whole section for KPI 12, staff to student interaction. So I encourage you to have a look at a number of blog posts there as well. Some of these include discussion about discussion forums. Announcements. Now, this is another key area. And just a reminder that Interact 2 announcements, this is where you as the academic, the subject coordinator, the lecturer, you're running the subject. But I2 announcements are not social media. They're actually official university communication. And I think from what I've seen, sometimes this line is a little bit blurred. So just be wary of that. So the things we're looking for in announcements, and think about this as you're doing your subject announcements: a clear subject line, protocol for communication, greetings and closings, correct signature. The announcements are regular, they're informative, and you might like to consider a weekly template and also include hyperlinks and images. Further to this, I encourage you to read Judy O'Connell's blog post, which talks about how to put images into announcements, because it's not as easy as it perhaps looks. There's a little bit of a catch to it, but it's not much. So Judy runs us through that. But also I can ask you to consider a template for your announcements, and there's some suggested text there for you to look at. That includes this sort of what you should be working on and what you should be planning for as part of this sort of weekly templated announcement. And of course, there could be other announcements each week above and beyond this as well. Now, Adobe Connect. This is another way to support not only student-to-student interaction, but teacher-to-student interaction. I just wanted to share this with you. This is a setup I did for a workshop on this particular topic, and just to show you that I put my video camera on, but then I paused it. I sort of got a picture that I was fairly happy with, and then paused the camera. My bandwidth does tend to go up and down a little bit where I'm living at the moment, so I didn't want my image. I wanted to have my camera on, but I didn't want it to be sort of glitchy, etc. So that's a good trick to understand how to do that. I have a very long chat window there, so I've designed the screen so that we can see clearly a lot of chat. The attendees, of course, are still there, not as long, but you can scroll up and down, and of course quite a decent presentation screen. So just very quickly, that's starting to look at how you can foster those that presence and those interactions that are so important in these online meetings. Some resources here to read more about online teacher presence, and these are really important resources, and you can grab these from the blog post and from the handout. I just want to run you through a couple of examples. A couple of colleagues at CSU have shared information with me about their subjects, and this is fairly pertinent to what I'm talking about. Deb Clark ran an excellent seminar recently about the work she's been doing for the Online Teaching and Learning Model Pilot study with her EMR 441 subject. There's some information there about it. But Deb said at the end that her top 3 practices for teacher presence and teacher-to-student interaction include welcome page design, announcements, and the use of screencasts, similar to this, a little video that shares information. And Deb said at the end, and I'm paraphrasing Deb here, that for the first time in 14 years, because she started to use this, student marks have not been lower. Distance education student marks have not been lower than internal. Now, she thinks that this may be due to screencasts and an enhanced teacher presence, including student engagement with assessment. Of course, this hasn't been fully documented as such, but it's really encouraging to see that what Deb has been doing with her subject has started to have an impact. And this is just the opening screen, the landing page of Deb's subject, showing some of the things that she's been doing. Now, on the left-hand side, the alternative approach to navigation is really interesting. Lots of more descriptive type of approach to navigation, particularly if students are coming in, and this is a postgrad subject perhaps, but students who haven't studied for a while or aren't that used to Interact 2, or just to give people a heads up. If I click on this, what's happening? A good greeting there, alternative contact methods. Deb has shared a link to a personal blog post about herself, which is building that empathy with her students. She shares a resource of a past student talking about the subject. What a great way to introduce the subject, a past student talking about it. And then she's got this, start, this push button, and don't you just want to push that button and get started? So I think that's great. So then I've got Paul. Now Paul has a couple of subjects where he's been working hard on teacher presence in particular, and he works on multimedia on the landing page. He works on hyperlinks from the landing page to discussions and other areas of the i2 site. He designs his discussion forum for communication and teacher feedback. He has weekly podcasts and regular online meetings in Adobe Connect. Now, just some screenshots here. You can see his navigation uses subheadings. He prefers also to have hyperlinks to every module right in that navigation line, which is an interesting approach and one that you have a choice to do. A screenshot from one of his discussion forums. Now, he summarises weekly discussions and provides students with feedback. So that's one way that he's interacting with them. They can interact with that feedback, of course. His podcasts, weekly topic podcasts, and you can see he doesn't just upload the podcast. He actually he tells the students how long the podcast is, so they know whether they've got time to watch it, listen to it, etc. He also gives a bullet point summary of what's in the podcast, which is great. And his online tutorial meetings, there's a page there on the i2 site linked in the navigation. He gives a link to the meeting room, and then of course information about the each meeting. So that top one there, for example, tutorial 12, it only went for 17 minutes. He describes what happened in the meeting, and there's a link there. So very informative. So, the thing is, you need to think, what strategies would you like to know more about, and what strategies can you share today? And we'd love you to come to our online blog, and that we have a whole community and discussion forum there where you can come and share your strategies and be featured as an academic, as an online teacher who's doing great things. Just to let people know that we are doing a quality check for student-to-student and teacher-to-student interaction. This is going to happen in 2016, session 2, in the mid-session break. And where can you get support? Well, there's lots of support happening from the point of view of the Faculty of Arts and Education. There is now a new organisation set up in i2, and this provides access to lots of KPI 9, 11 and 12 strategies and resources. Things are going up all the time, so keep having a look there. And of course, here's our blog and website. So we have lots of advice here. You can select search by category and keyword. There are blog posts, and there's a community. So let me know. Watch the blog. Let me know if you want to book PD sessions, or if you have any individual or small group questions. Don't forget support from Division of Student Learning. They have a new sort of booking of calls system running there. And keep calm and stay in touch. Thanks so much, everyone.